Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Woo-hoo.
Hello, welcome to another Conversations with SOTU. To my right is Dr. Steve Schatz, author of the Adima Chronicles, and to my left is Josh Schwartzbach, who is a medium and a professional channel for consciousness we call SOTU.
Well, we call ourselves SOTU as well.
Yes, SOTU is already here, and Steve and SOTU have been having a long conversation over the last few episodes, and it's going to continue today for one more episode. Thank you both.
And maybe more. You just never know.
You never know.
All right, Stephen.
Well, let's start with an easy one. Why SOTU? Why the name? Why the handle?
Soul of the universe.
Very nice. Okay.
And also, we happen to come through the same days as the State of the Union message in 20 what? Come on.
I don't remember.
2006?
No, I think it was
2004? 2002? 1997? 1854?
I don't remember the year.
You know, this is our statistician.
Well, you have been channeling, Josh had been channeling a consciousness named Ezekiel for
Really?
a number of years before that. And as you said, they were an aspect of you who helped us learn a number of processes for growing and a number of ways to view reality to become more empowered.
And work on a personal level to create new templates of possibility, new changes, to bring through a dynamic that has given you all an opportunity to create a dynamic of self-healing and movement into the expanded consciousness that you all chose when you chose to incarnate.
So at a certain point, and I do not remember the year, you'd think I would, Ezekiel moved to the background, and SOTU came forward to assist us in a larger picture.
Right.
Got it. What's that stand for again?
Soul of the universe. In other words, we are your cosmic kick in the butt.
Ah.
Well, what is the purpose of soul? To give you the opportunities to be more. To give you those opportunities that you have chosen in a lifetime to achieve that dynamic of love in your life after having overcome the dynamic of love being taken away. And again, we use that as the simple explanation, but...
Okay. We ended last week on punishment. Is there a heaven and a hell? And the answer was no. Or turn back and watch last week's and you'll see. You'll never guess. What about things that people have done within their life? How does it affect?
Well,
I'm thinking things
we're
like...
not saying there's not karma. There is karma. But karma is chosen. It is not automatic. If you wish to learn about the value of life by being a slayer, if you wish to learn about, that would be what would happen. If you wish to learn about the value of human life, you are likely to be a warrior. Think about it. It's a duality. You're going to get a mirror image of the dynamic. Now, soul would rather speak to you in a positive way, but you just don't listen. You know, how many times have so many of you gone around that thing that we used to call Ezekiel's wheel? You know, if let's say you're wishing to learn about love in your life. So every so often there's a frame that comes up in your life that basically says to you, hey, here's an opportunity to do it the old way. Here's an opportunity to make a different choice, to not choose the old way, the old type person again. You know, we've talked to you about this. And if you choose to go the old path, it's like you send that wheel around one more time, and it's like that Wheel of Fortune, you know. Mm-hmm. And so eventually that frame comes back, but the next time it speaks to you a little louder. Mm-hmm. And the next time it will speak to you, and eventually it'll hit you in the head with a baseball bat if that's what it takes to get your attention.
God of ever larger hammers.
That's right. That's what they taught the channel in the Army. When in doubt, use a bigger hammer.
Yeah, yeah.
But again, it's only through your lack of making a choice, your lack of taking a stand, that dynamic repeats itself. And makes itself, you know, if you are understanding that for the past 70 years, but 50 years anyway, your reality has been asking you who it is that you are going to be, and you can understand that every crisis, every dynamic, everything from the change of the millennium to 9/11 to the great tsunami to all of these occurrences have been asking you that same question. It is urging you to consider the fact of moving from an adolescent situation, an adolescent civilization, either or, black or white, good or bad, into one of greater reason, greater understanding, greater rationale. That's what reality is being asking of you. Be more. Move to the level of the advanced civilization. There's more than enough for everyone. And now we don't wish to necessarily get into economics either. Because there's a whole dynamic of...
It's somehow comforting to think when someone's done me wrong, or someone has done
there's
wrong
not
in
a
the
price
world,
to pay.
that you know, I should not come in and smack them around, but it would be nice to know that
but there
will be.
Oh, they will. Oh, they will. You take someone like Dick Cheney right now.
Like that.
Dick Cheney's next lifetime is going to be barefoot in rags.
Okay.
With a whole lifetime with not enough to eat. That's what's it. And why? Because he's got, everything is balanced. It's got to balance out.
And that's not his choice, particularly.
It's karma. It is actually his choice. It is a choice of his soul's journey, the greater, the higher self, the conglomeration of who you really are, which you cannot really know while you're still in a physical body. You can have an inkling, but you know, you eventually die, and all of a sudden you know with a capital K. Now that's not to say that all of you pass over in a very rational sort of way. So many of you pass over with a great deal of fear, with a great deal of feeling that you're going to be judged and all of that stuff. And so your first experience upon passing over will be that dynamic. You know, we have often said, you know, if you believe that you're imperfect, if you're a sinner and that you're going to go to hell, you find yourself looking over the abyss into this boiling lava thingy or whatever your preconceived notion is, until your higher self comes over and taps you on the shoulder and says, oh, by the way, none of that is real.
Okay.
But then you go to a place of healing where you need to do a retrospective of your past, of this most recent lifetime. And in conjunction with your soul, in conjunction with perhaps a few other guides, that is your, what shall we say, soul family, you make an assessment on what you accomplished in that lifetime and what you didn't. And if you were, if you were bad, then you wish to be good. And if you were good, then you might wish to be bad next time around. Again, it's that whole, if you do not judge the experience, right now, that we're not saying that morality is bad and that there is a dynamic that thou shalt not kill and all of that stuff. There is certainly those dynamics that if you are an advanced civilization, then we would suggest that you cherish all life.
Suicide.
What about it? We've answered this question before. Suicide is only really negative if it is a manipulation. If you're getting out of lifetime because you're in so much pain that you just need to, even suicide by cop, but you have to understand the difficulty is not necessarily with the suicidee, but the suicider. What choices are those policemen being asked to make? What karmic, what shall we say, weight goes with that?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really going to get into it, and you're going to really talk about the dynamic of good and bad, there's a lot of shades of color in there, aren't there?
Yes,
it's not just black and white.
Yes, yes.
And that's the human experience. If you understand that the human experience is meant to be a myriad of color, a myriad of emotion, a myriad of experiences.
Now, let me kind of expand it from just the human experience.
Mm-hmm.
It seems that to exist, for me to exist, other things have to die.
That's true. Isn't it?
If I'm a vegetarian,
the plant has to die.
And if I want to stay well, then bacteria
has to die.
And if I eat meat, then something with a face has to die.
Yeah.
And where's the line of good and bad?
Oh, that's actually a very easy question to answer.
Yeah.
There is no greater service that a soul can be rather than incarnating as a food source for another being. Nothing lives or dies
No
by...
one has requested me to do that.
Nothing lives or dies by accident. So, if the being that is incarnating as a food source is raised with respect, and is raised with understanding, and is raised with love, and is raised with the appreciation of the nourishment that they are sharing, they become a part of your consciousness as you ingest them. And so their consciousness expands in that sort of way, becomes more.
Good answer.
Plants scream when you pick them.
Do they?
Yes, sir. You
Never
just
heard
cannot hear them. And plants who are in one place, stationary, see those beings that move as God. Those beings that incarnate as food sources for you see you as God. Do you do the same thing with your dynamics of belief around God? That's for all of you out there.
Ooh.
Contemplate that one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a very interesting one. I rather like that. Okay, but I'm not going to.
You're not going to dwell on it.
Let everyone put the pause on and think about it. Then come back and Tell me about travel to other planets or from other planets to here.
What about it?
Does it exist?
Yes.
Are there other planets that are populated?
Yes.
Are we in contact?
Yes.
Are the hillbillies who were picked up and probed in the middle of the night some of them?
Yes. Some of them.
Would you like to give a little more explanation?
From our perspective, any being that is coming from outside of the realm of humanity, that is coming to visit the planet, is here because you have the ability to do something that no other species has ever done before. And that is to move into a greater level of awareness, move into the dynamic of an advanced civilization without first having created a tragedy or a necessity of global cataclysm to the point where it was either change or die. You're not there as a species yet. As bad as you think you've made it, up until this point, we find it all quite very amusing, actually. But as bad as you're not there.
We're pretty close.
Not from our perspective. Because we have a kind of an insight into the way the energies are going to be affecting the entirety of humanity. So there's a lot of possibility for change that many of you cannot see yet. But you will be seeing it pretty darn soon.
I mentioned this the last time, the last show, and this is the first time in talking with you that I've really gotten a feeling that you're talking about an overnight flip the switch change in consciousness.
No, it's still going to be incremental, but you're going to be able to measure a date or a series of dates, yes.
Yeah, that it's not,
No,
because I can't see us evolving.
Here's the question.
Toward.
Are you going to do it voluntarily, which is the dynamic of transformation? We're talking about the difference here between evolution and transformation. Evolution is an unconscious dynamic. You don't say, oh, well, I'm going to choose to evolve today.
Right.
No. But transformation is conscious. Wow, we sure live in a screwed up world right now. We have the power to change that. Maybe we should. Wow, let's make the choice to change that rather than force reality to force us to change it.
I can't see humanity as
That's why we're holding the hope for
whatever.
you. That's why we're holding the hope for you, because you're just a curmudgeon.
We can't decide between Democrat and Republican, for God's sakes.
Because both of them are lies. But if you
and
understand that and you're willing to stand on that, you're already pretty much outside the set. You're an author.
Yeah.
All right? You know, you don't require, you don't go to a job every day.
No, I don't.
No, you don't.
No, I've tried.
And it certainly was for all concerned.
It was.
Trying.
Very trying for all concerned.
Yes, certainly so. But again, there is that dynamic where some people do that and some people are able to do that. And some people have separated. These two are farmers and a channel. How far outside the system can you get?
Right. So how can a world change in a
More and
brief
more
period
people
of
would be-
time?
You just never know. Things catch on. Wait a minute. How many years ago? 10 years ago, there were no smartphones.
That's true.
How much has changed? In just 10 years.
And that wasn't, nobody had to get together and hold a vote.
No. And we have often said that technology is one of the things that are going to save you. But it's heart-centered technology. You know, they say artificial intelligence is going to take over. Well, actually, it's not. What it's going to be is a combination of human intelligence interjecting with and interconnected with robotic and artificial intelligence. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You know, there are many subtleties of color, many opportunities for creation. You know, one of the things coming down the pike is free energy. Well, wouldn't that change everything? One of the things coming down the pike are discoveries in Antarctica of ancient sources of civilization. It's coming down the pike. When it becomes general knowledge, don't you think it's going to change everything?
Seems possible if...
Sure, there's a lot of possibilities for change. And that type of change. That's what we're trying to show you. Think outside the box and you'll begin to realize that there are possibilities. Now, that's not to say that it's not depressing to bang your head up against ignorance all the time. But again, it's because it has been allowed to happen. If you have been many thousands of years where you have not been actively creating your reality, you have been allowing it. And so it tends, that's when you get the chaos. Become the peacemakers and the problem solvers, and you'll begin to solve problems. You'll begin to make peace.
What about the equinox that's coming up at the end of the summer?
The eclipse?
The eclipse on the 21st of August?
Yeah, that one.
Well, what would you like to know? Will
Well,
you live?
see,
You'll live.
I came to out of adolescence, having spent most of my life waiting for 1984.
Right. And then 2012. And then all of
whatever
that.
alignment.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. And it's
So
a really
now I'm
good,
starting to hear
it's a re-
this about.
But there is. And it's very purposeful to talk about it. Because the more you talk about it, the more power you take away from it. The more you consider the possibility of something occurring and preparing for it, either on an emotional or a physical level, you take the power away from it. It's much less likely to happen if you're ready for it. Because the world, the universe, almost always has to catch you by surprise to really get to you. You know, the earthquake in Haiti happened by surprise. The tsunami happened by surprise. Mount St. Helens, it happened by surprise. If you're ready for it, well, considering the possibilities along those dynamics is one of the quickest ways that you could, making predictions about something. Saying, this is going to definitely, you know, when we have worked with people, we have been in the past asked to look at situations like this. And we look at the person, where they are at emotionally right now, and what is the dynamic of the emotional thing that they need to face by, in other words, what's the thing that they fear by asking this question? So we will create a scenario for them. We'll begin to tell a story around the dynamic in living color with everything in the dynamic to bring them face to face with that emotional fear in that moment before it ever has to manifest. And by having that emotional experience and making the decision on what they would do in that particular circumstance, how they might mourn, how they might, you know, any of the, it takes the power away from the possibility of it actually occurring from out of the blue.
And can a person use that trick?
Absolutely.
So if one is afraid of something happening...
Face your fear.
Face
And
the
it's
fear ahead
much-
of time.
That's right. Well, face it, you're not going to experience the fear for the first time. It's not going to come from you out of the blue. So often a dynamic, it's a recurring dynamic. Let's say, and we're going to use this as an example, a woman that is terrified of being raped is much more likely of being raped than not. Why? Because it's that fear that would draw that energy toward her. Fear can act as an attractor to attract to you whatever the thing is that you fear the most. But by facing that fear ahead of time, it disarms the whole thing.
Facing how?
Oh, well, that's probably next week or the week after, because we're down to less than 2 minutes again. But there are methods for facing fear. Imagine that, just amp your fear up. Let's say you're in a car, all right? And you got a job interview or something along those lines, and you're terrified. Well, as you're driving down the street, allow yourself to amp up that fear as much as possible. And, let it show on your face and all that. I hope you don't catch a red light. Because the thing is, you're trying to force that fear through, purge that fear. The greatest rationale around fear for all of you is something really threatened. If there's something really threatened, then go into the dynamic of threat assessment and deal with that threat. If nothing's really threatened, let it go. All right.
Any final last words as you say?
Well, they're never a
"See
last
my
word
back"?
with us, dear one. They're never a last word with us. In fact, July is dressed up and singing this tune, and things are going to be very, very interesting, and secrets will be revealed, and so much of what you think you know will be proven wrong. And that is our prediction for the next couple of weeks. And August 21st, well, it's all up to you. But there may be some very severe earth changes. Again, something has to happen to break and change the dynamic. Now, it can happen from a positive front or it can happen from the negative front. But it will precipitate change. All right, we love you all so very, very much. We are SOTU, and this is Conversations with SOTU. Until the next time, we close. Sending you peace, sending you happiness, sending you joy.
I didn't get